I'm really grateful to Valerie and to all of you for inviting me here. Can you hear me okay? Okay, I tend to be a little quiet in the hopes that no one will hear me. But it's delightful to see this Zen Center. I've never been here before. It's so lovely. This adobe, real adobe, right? It's pretty amazing. Real people, really phenomenal. I thought that I would talk about, I use as framing an acronym that I put together a while ago called F.A.C.E. I think some people who don't do meditation but maybe see pictures of it, of people sitting on a hillside off in some remote, pristine, lovely place, they may think that we meditators aren't facing anything. We're escaping to some other pleasant world rather than this one. But nothing could be further from the truth, as I'm sure all of you know. Facing it is what we are training ourselves to do. Facing this moment world, facing our hearts, facing our scampering minds. We're facing everything just as it is. So as a framing for talking about this acronym F.A.C.E., I'm bringing up a koan that maybe some of you are familiar with. It's from the Blue Cliff Record, case number 43. It's called Tungshan's No Cold or Hot. Have any of you heard of this? Oh, good. Oh, you saw, yeah, one person. Oh, well. 2 people. A monk once asked Master Tungshan, when cold and hot come, how can we avoid them? Tungshan replied, why don't you go to the place where there is no cold or hot? The monk then asked, where is that place where there is no cold or hot? Tungshan then replied, when cold comes, cold kills you. When hot comes, hot kills you. So here we have in a koan, like so many koans, a summary, so succinct, of the human condition, the human quandary of how to be, how to live in this world. The monk, in his opening question, I think we should take it with great heart and sympathy, because if we're honest with ourselves, this is our question too. Where is the place? Where is the place? Oh no, that's not the first line. When cold and hot come, how can we avoid them? That's the first conundrum. Clearly, cold and hot. The way that we identify our experience and give it a name, cold, or give it another name, hot. As soon as those words come out of our mouths, already there's a storyline in the making. It's too hot, says somebody who came from Seattle to live in New Mexico. And the storyline just, creates its own domino effect. But the meaning of this is clear. The significance, when cold and hot come, how can we avoid them? We may think, if we're being a little bit rough on ourselves as Zen students, which sometimes Zen students can be a little hard on ourselves. Don't make cold or hot. Don't create that in your mind. But I think it's important to respect the relative world. I think it's important to respect our karma. This poor Seattleite coming to this 90, 100-degree weather. And of course, in more serious circumstances. We need to respect our karma. But not be attached to it. And try as best we can, at least for 10,000 years, to return to before the condition of labeling, before the condition of storytelling that we add on to our condition. Hot and cold. We could say it's simply a metaphor for our usual dualistic way of thinking. But this is the question we ask ourselves. And let's not pretend that we don't. Let's honor it as the first entry into this practice and realization. This is the acronym that I created, F.A.C.E. The F of F.A.C.E. is for focus. Focus. The monk wants to know how to avoid hot and cold. But our program as Zen students, as meditators, is to focus, face what is. Face the moment world directly. Feel it without the storyline, without the natural impulse to label and categorize and quantify. To ask, when cold and hot come, how can we avoid them? Is to ask the first question in our practice. How can we get out of, or how can we alleviate our suffering? This is how we enter the stream of practice, the stream of being. There's no need to berate anyone for their suffering, for their confusion, for our confusion. The A in this acronym, F.A.C.E., is, I think, one that is often skipped over or given us not as much attention as it should be given. And that is acceptance, acknowledgement. Accept this world, this body, this mind. I think we want to skip over that and go to the C part of faith, which is clear. Become clear. But before we can become clear, we have to accept. Accept our world. If we can accept, that means we're listening. We're truly 100% seeing. How many times have we been in dialogue with others and we have some opinion about what another person is saying, and our opinion is rattling around in our head while we're listening, along with our rejoinder, our comeback. Maybe it's almost like playing chess, where we have several back and forths already running through our minds. But to truly just listen. "100%. This is deep acknowledgement and acceptance. Already, in our relationships and in our efforts to help this suffering world, if we can listen well, we're changing all the karma. I'm reminded of a quote, a favorite quote that I love from Suzuki Roshi's Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind book. This was my first Zen book that I ever read. Probably several of you have read it. It's a beautiful book. After I read that book, I sold my house, got rid of all my belongings, and went to the nearest Zen master. Anyway, this quote that I adore so much, roughly like this: the reason the world is so beautiful is because everything is losing its balance against a background of perfect balance. The reason the world is so beautiful, even to say those words, the world is so beautiful, is to say it's so precious, so worthy of listening and attending to. And even though day after day it loses its balance, whether we realize it or not, our practice of clarity and compassion sets it right. So listening well, it is then possible to accept, truly accept, present moment world. But then why does Zen Master Tongshan reply, well, why don't you go to the place where there is no cold or hot? Sounds like he's teasing the poor guy, doesn't it? Yeah, good luck with that. Just go to the place where there is no cold or hot. Why don't you? But actually, I think he's being very kind, very, very thoughtful. As if he was holding out his hand and giving an opening. Why not we give it a try? Better yet, let's go together. And at the same time, he's creating an intriguing, captivating place by which to enter, which is by way of another question. What does it mean, this place of no cold or hot? What might that be like? What is it? Clear the mind of all defining, limiting, dualistic features. We have a word for this, many words for it, none of which even come close to touching it, but I'll throw out one: a don't know mind, before thinking mind. I'll give an example that came to me when I was considering this koan. How many of you have seen a dog circling around to find his place? It's a dog thing, but I think it's a human thing too. Circling and circling, find his place. But maybe it's something else. Maybe it's something different. Rather than finding the right spot, maybe he's doing a centering exercise in order to find his right mind. I've had a few dogs, and when they find that spot, crash. Just plop down. So this is a teaching phrase that I'm very fond of. resting in openness to the totality of present moment awareness. Operative word, resting. Another operative word, in openness. That's what dogs know how to do really well. So it's not perhaps about a place at all, but rather a state of mind. Why don't you go to that place where there is no cold or hot? I'll tell another little story, and you'll get to know a little bit about me. I have, you mentioned that I have 3 children and grandchildren. So my younger daughter is married to a man from Ethiopia, and she met him in the Peace Corps in the Tigray region of Ethiopia. I don't know if anybody is familiar with that, but it's the northern sliver of land in the top of Ethiopia, where there was a terrible war fairly recently. I'm curious, how many of you know about that? A handful. One of my little irritants is that at any given time, there are so many wars, but we hear of relatively few. So my son-in-law, my daughter was called out of Peace Corps, my son-in-law was stuck in Tigray where the war was happening. And for almost 2 years, we couldn't even reach him. We didn't know if he was alive or dead, whether he had escaped to Sudan or been conscripted into the army or whatever. But when we finally did get him out of Ethiopia, and he was living with us, and he told us all the stories of the war and what happened, and I asked him, it must have been so terrifying, Goitom. It must have been so incredibly frightening to be in a war. And he said, yes, but cause and effect, he didn't use those words, but we'll recognize them. Cause and effect were very clear. So a moment's situation, a decision has to be made, you make the decision and you go. And he said, far more terrifying was to live here. He was serious because of meeting this don't know mind. Really for the first time in his life. Who am I? What is this? What is this? It was pretty extraordinary to hear that. And I think that it points to this question. It's not a physical place where there's no cold or hot. Perhaps he thought, coming to the US, there would be no cold or hot. In that sense of the land of milk and honey. Things being okay, finally. But instead, he encountered this big don't know mind. Fortunately, he's young and adventurous and in love with life. And he's made a home here with us. I suppose this is a little bit of a digression, but I wanted to fit it in because when we enter a new world, we begin again. All we have to do is clarify our own mind, and then we're at home. Interestingly enough, I heard the exact same report from my husband, who is also an immigrant, comes from mainland China, grew up pretty much as communist China grew up, and also encountered a lot of suffering. And he said exactly the same thing 30 years ago when I first met, or 35 years ago, well, I don't know, 37 years, long time ago when I met him, that when he went to college and he saw these students sitting out on the green, it was terrifying to him. He had no idea how to act. Nobody was telling him what to do, who to be, how to be. In communist China, you're told everything. So he also, at the time, was young and is still adventurous. So one of the things that these two men in my life, I really appreciate about them, having seen the hard edge of cold and hot. They were primed, as scary as it was. They were primed to encounter the question, embrace the question, what am I? What is this? So the monk asks, where is the place where there is no cold or hot? Tung-shan replies, when cold comes, cold kills you. When hot comes, hot kills you. We can see this in a literal, provisional body sort of way. Extreme heat, extreme cold. But I think it's pointing largely somewhere else. Whenever we're afraid of what's going to happen next, if we manage to avoid spinning out into tales and stories and names for what we don't know will happen next, we are cutting off a storyline. We are cutting off a name and giving ourselves incredible freedom and the joy, dare I say, of complete direct experience. These two, these two kinds of killing, whether you perish being stranded in a snowstorm in Alaska, or perishing the thought and the idea in order to liberate oneself. Those two kinds of killing are just one, really just one. Complete presence of mind. Embodied presence of mind. How lucky we are to have one of those bodies. In the way we recite in Albuquerque, south, not north, south, the way we recite the four great vows, the third one, the teachings are infinite, we vow to embody them all, is how we phrase it. So no gap, no space between our clarity, our presence of mind, and embodied action. That's the E, by the way, on F.A.C.E. I think that I'll rush through the IT and finish off this talk so that I can have time for questions and answers. But the I, interbeing, interdependency. When we let go of our storylines, our naming of conditions, when we listen well, we enter our clarity, like the greatest virus of all time that everybody catches almost instantaneously, can transform, i.e. the T word, transform our being, our world. So our Zen practice, as quiet as it is I see it as the utmost activist position from which to start. Over and over for 10,000 years, nonstop. Thank you for listening. I would really welcome any questions, commentary.
And if you're online, you should be able to either raise a hand or just unmute. And if you're in the Zendo, I will carry this mic round to you. So just raise your hand if you'd like in the Zendo.
I welcome quibbles too. Yes. Oh.
I'm interested in your name. What does it mean, and where did it come from?
Oh, sure. The Zen master that I studied under most recently gave me that name when I received final transmission. I didn't have a choice in this, and I'm not making excuses for my name. But he gave me the translation, and I retranslated the translation. So my translation is no wisdom, like N-O, no wisdom. So one of my students who is very much into AI decided to ask AI what my name meant, and she sent me a whole page of what it signifies, and I forgot it all. So let's just stay with no wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're
And
welcome.
thanks for a beautiful talk. I really brought that koan alive for me. So.
Do you know?
Have you here.
Thank you for having me. You know that I was raised in a koan tradition and started grappling with koans in my 20s, and I realized only within the last 15 years or so that we can make this, we can talk about these, we can make it relatable, we can see it as poetry, really.
Mm-hmm.
But somebody else had a question or a comment? Please.
Okay, great. Deborah, can you unmute?
Uh-huh. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Just wanted to say thank you. That was really a lovely talk. I enjoyed it very much, and I loved your stories about your family and the northern part of Ethiopia and all of that, and the feelings that those men had. It was really fascinating. My question is really simple. Somehow I spaced out on the C of your F.A.C.E. So
how apropos. That one is clear. Become clear. Listen clearly. But, you know, spacing out is just another entryway into becoming clear. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to follow up on that and ask, what does the E and the I and the T signify? I didn't hear you talk about that.
Oh, I just slipped it in and was a bit sneaky about it, I guess. So I'll go through all of them. F, focus. Accept, A, accept. C, clear. E, engage. embody. You probably thought I was going to say enlightenment, but I'm just playing. But you could say that. And then I, interbeing, interdependency. Then T, transformation. Sometimes when we talk about karma, we grapple with it. We might have the idea that we can just be done with it and get rid of it, get some other karma. But I think what really does happen in our practice is that we transform it. When we are no longer controlled by our karma, then we can use our karma in this very transformative way. So that's the acronym. Yeah.
Could you give an example of that?
Oh, sure.
Thank you.
She asked if I could give an example of that transformation. I'll bet people here could. Anyone want to give an example? I'm just putting you on the spot, that's all. I'll give one for myself. You may not believe this, but I have always been extremely shy. Growing up, I was so shy, I could never say a word. I grew up in a family of teachers, professors, all professors, and I was the one who could never get a word out of my mouth. Now I don't care so much. So I just let the words come out. Maybe I'm a teacher after all. Maybe it's the family business. Yeah, that's just one example. Yeah. I was just giving another example this morning at the Zen Center in Albuquerque. After practice in Albuquerque, I always give a little 3 or 4 minute Dharma talk after every practice. So this morning I told the story of my eyesight is terrible. I have double vision, I have no depth perception, but my brain is kind of rewired so that I can manage. And yet I'm a sculptor. So I think that there's a way in which over time, from when I was very little, I was able to transform that disability into something that enabled me to be an artist. Another question?
Yes, that was a lovely talk. I have 2 comments. The one was really fast. Where is the Zen Center in Albuquerque?
It's on 2300 Garfield Avenue Southeast. I know my address now. I've lived there for a year.
Is that downtown area?
I don't think so. It's near UNM.
Okay.
Right. Do you know where Yale is?
Yes.
It's off of Yale, near a cemetery.
Yeah.
I'm still a little confused of where downtown actually is. But please, I'm glad you brought that up. Please come and visit. You just are welcome to come for any practice. Just show up. We'd love to have you. Yeah.
The other thing is the E, engagement. Did you give an example for engagement?
I think so. Maybe I gave several and didn't really label it as such.
Could I try to give one?
Please.
Okay, yeah, to give you a break. Yeah. Well, today marks the first day that the facilitators, meditation facilitators, were allowed into, it used to be called Pete's. Pete's is a local shelter. And for a couple of weeks, a new group has come in, and now it's called Agape. And so today was the first time, and I was the lucky one to go in there. And the reason why we couldn't go in there is because there was bed bugs. There's like about 60 beds or something of that nature. So anyway, a lot of work had to be done. I pulled up and I was ready to go into the parking lot like I used to, and there was these big 3 guards, and they stopped me. And so they told me where to go and so on and so forth. So the director met me, Mike, and I'm giving all this information because I see a couple of people who are part of the facilitation group. So we have to park another place. But anyway, I went in there with Mike, and he was so proud of all the work that they have done, all the cleaning. The bathrooms are clean, and it smells really nice inside. And there was a feeling of connectedness, like a lot of the people knew what the program was. But anyway, so there I was going to lead the meditation. And so Mike made an announcement, and we had to do it outside. We set up a little table 10 feet away from Surreal's Road. So all the local people, you know what that means. I mean, there's a bunch of traffic and all that. And another person came in as Mike and I were introducing more deeply about who we were. And it was just beautiful. We just got into the body, the practice of the body, just being with the body, being in the moment, in this crazy, crazy environment. And we giggled and laughed a little bit. And there was this connectedness going on there. And so, yeah, when you brought up that E engagement, I just had to share that. So there's...
Thank you. That's a lovely engagement with always a surprise in the mix.
Yeah.
I think that really, as Zen students, we can look at this as widely and broadly as possible. When we're in line at the grocery store, are we engaged or disengaged? Are we meeting the person across from us, their eye, eye to eye? There are endless opportunities, all of which can be completely transformative in unspoken, but definitely in an engaged, embodied way. Well, thank you again. Thank you so much for your good company. I look forward to meeting you again sometime.